to say a great deal, but there are a couple of things I do want to tell you. One is that this is not Mel's first book. Her first book was a complete sellout, and it was called, have I tried this? Have you tried this before?
Have you tried this?
Have you tried this? And they couldn't get enough copies, so much so that when it came to the British Museum wanting to try to grab back a copy, they managed to find one. We believe that Flicks&Clicks is likely to outsell that previous sellout to the extent that it was 250 copies. However, Mel set about this particular oeuvre about 4 years ago. And had some serious challenges along the way. The first challenge, I'm told by Sasha, where are you, was actually the cat, Nikita, because Nikita decided one day that she'd actually jump up on the keyboard and she just happened to press the D button. Oh, no. And Mel lost a whole bunch of work and of course screamed at the cat. The poor cat was kind of upset, I'm sure. And so these are the sort of trials. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm just going now. Clinical copywriter's approach, you see, it's out of the way, and Nikita's gone. And so there's that, and the other beautiful aspect of all this is that because it's been in the works for quite some time, Mel had started putting together the skeleton, as I understand it, for this particular book. And she called Drayton and said, well, what do you think of this idea? And Drayton said, listen, kid, you've got to have stuff on the web, because the web is the future. And he was dead right, and he normally is, he's a good man. And so Mel had to kind of start again. And thanks to Drayton, this now encompasses web copywriting, which has to adhere to a rather different discipline. From a very personal point of view, I am really delighted that we now have a great book on copywriting for all three channels, but particularly the web channel and the catalogue channel in this industry, because we haven't had a decent book on copywriting in 10 or 15 years, or 20 if I go back to Drayton's first book. Not one that I would bother to read. And this one is worth reading because Mel is that rare thing. She's someone who is commercial. She understands the numbers of our business. She's a direct marketer. And it makes such a difference when you're briefing in copy to a copywriter if they understand. And here are my key points. Here's the main points of the proposition. Here's one sequence, but you may wish to run another sequence. And if they get why you're doing that, and they understand AIDA, attention, interest, desire, then you're halfway there. The trouble is, as I was just discussing with a friend over here, you've got all this new stuff you've got to learn now. You've got mustn't keyword stuff, but you do have to have the right keyword density on your pages. But I'll stop right there, because this girl's already done it, and it's all in the book. And so I'm really, really delighted to have this pleasure and this privilege to introduce it. And in fact, if I can find my glass, I think that we should, because she's not getting off the hook, she has to say something at this stage. I'm delighted that this book is out. I think she's a brilliant copywriter. I think our industry needed this. Mel, your very good health and good luck with this book. And it's number 18, 14 on the Amazon bestsellers and business book. Hardly at all. Come on, tell us, how did you do it, Mel?
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. It's quite an emotional moment for me. When I started writing the book, this moment was one of the things that kept me going in very first writing the bits of the chapter, and just imagining this moment in this room with some fabulous people. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming. One of the other things that kept me going was imagining what the very last word would be that I would type when this was a tip given to me, and that word turned out to be safari, which was quite appropriate because it has been quite a journey. And I'm so sorry for saying that, because as a copywriter I really should have come up with something better than the cliche about it's such a journey writing a book. But the fact is, it was quite a journey, and what I've been asked a lot is what made me write the book, why did I want to do it? Obviously, the simple answer is I wanted to be seen as the expert in my field, and everybody says write a book, then you are the expert. Sounded very simple when they said that. But then, as Nigel said, it took a while, and I had a few false starts with it. And the thing about writing a book is that there's always another day. So what was it that actually made me sit down and say, right, now I'm going to do it? There were a couple of things. I have a business advisor, Pierre, and from time to time we get together and set some goals. And in 2009, then we decided that the only way I was going to get the book written was having one goal for 2010, and that goal was going to be write the book. And having that focus was very helpful and useful. The other thing was, on Boxing Day 2009, a friend of mine died very suddenly. She was about my age, and it affected a lot of the people who we knew, and it did really make me realise that actually there isn't always another day. There will get to be a point where there won't be another day, and the timing of it just made me think, I've got to make this happen. So 2nd of January, I took my laptops to the library and made a start. My running mate on the journey was, I don't know why he's not here, Dan Coxon John. Where are you, Dan? He's, I can't believe he's not here actually, because he's been so supportive all the way through, and I'm really sorry he's not here to hear me say this. He at the time, he was training for a marathon, and we spent a lot of time swapping notes, so I would ring him every couple of weeks or so, and he would tell me where he was in his training goals for his marathon. And yes, it's not done. And I shared with him the other cliche about writing a book, which is that it's a bit like giving birth. And I think he wished that I had stuck to the script about the journey and not regaled him in terms of, yeah, it's like being 5 centimetres dilated. Still, now we're on to the giving birth cliche.
We're still on the dilated cliche.
I think certainly for my family, it was a bit like having a 4th child. For my husband, there was the mood swings, the obsession with something else, the fretting, the worry, and the names, what name we call it, and of course, once it was born, as with all my children, the wardrobe. What was I going to dress them in? And for that, I have to give a huge thanks to Mindy for introducing me to who I think is one of the most fabulous designers. I've begged him to be here. He's agoraphobic, so he wouldn't come, and I wish he was here to give him a big thank you, because I think he's made the book look absolutely amazing, and it was a really creative partnership and quite emotional working with him to make it look as fabulous as it does. So he's obviously somebody I would very much like to thank. There are a lot of other people who need to be thanked. A huge thanks to Nigel, obviously, for writing the foreword. Did it take you long to write the foreword?
Not too bad. Compared to most of my copywriting efforts. 10 hours for a letter.
And the big thank you to all the reviewers. Wayne, who, along with some other people,
It's not that.
it's not done. Hi, John. Wayne, thank you for reading the manuscript over Christmas so that I could have some reviews to put on the back cover. And I've one by one had apologies from all the other reviewers for not being here today. I must say as well, a big thank you to Tessa. Yes, my fabulous PR agent. And Tessa, if the book is a light-hearted read, then you have Tessa to thank for that, because I certainly at one stage got extremely bogged down in the detail and really wanting to get all the information in. And I kind of forgot, which is not a good thing for copywriter to forget, that it actually had to be a nice read as well. And Tessa put the sparkle back into it. So very big thank you to that. And of course, my family, who have really suffered a lot. The reason why Safari was the last word is because my husband took my children, especially my daughter Stasha, out weekend after weekend after weekend to Woburn Safari Park or various other places, and every weekend it was like, I'm nearly finished, yes, it will be finished soon. And they were all incredibly patient, and again my son Hugo and my other son James, who couldn't leave his post making cocktails in Italy to come and be with us tonight. I also want to thank my clients, and there's a few of you here tonight, all my clients. If I hadn't been able to work with you and do that fabulous work, then I wouldn't have been able to write the book. And also some of the people I've worked with, designers and other analytics people, or not stands for here, who I've also learned a huge amount from. I hope I've not forgotten to thank anybody who I should. And what I'm really grateful to everybody who's come here today. I'd like you all to make sure you have a copy. Do make sure you come and sign it. I would be very grateful if you could do things like press the little yellow like button at the top of Amazon, like the book, put reviews on to Amazon, and don't forget about the other websites. There's WH Smith linking.
On the Amazon app, the Amazon app embedded on the
Oh, yes, yes,
as well as
give us some script and put it on our website.
Yeah, links, yeah, inbound links, all of that would be reviews, links, tweets, all of that. So
It's global domination now, right?
Yes, there's so much media fast that you're all shaking like this.
Make a text, would you like?
And well, I've kind of run out of stuff on here. That's the end of my speech. So thank you very much, everybody. Nigel thought you might like to sum up.
A quick word from my publisher.
Okay. Thanks for coming. I'm Mindy. I run Academy Press, and every book that we bring out is very special. And tonight, it's an extremely special book because we've been through the journey. We had a conversation last summer about how to publish a book, and there are lots of ways to publish. And you know, we're not a name that many of you will have heard of, Academy Press, although hopefully now it'll go towards building our brand as well. But our strategy is one of cooperative publishing, and we really partner with our authors. And you know, I'm glad Mel had a great experience because you know, we're there. It's a win-win. If it's a success, it's a success for all of us.
Yeah.
So I'm extremely pleased. And the thing I like best about this book is that it's so specific. It's you know, you know exactly what you're getting. You know exactly who could benefit from it and why. And so I just can't wait to see it climb even higher up the charts. Well done.
Thank you.
So have a drink, enjoy yourselves. Now
And I will take my place at the signing table if you haven't got it.
Good night.